You can try to use me, but I'm broken. I haven't worked a lick in 3 odd years. Others tried to fix me up, but they all left me to rust when they couldn't get me into second gear. But I admit you have some tools I've never seen, and maybe you're the mechanic of my dreams. Used to have to keep me, and that would fix me, but it turned out every time to be temporary. With the brake pads turned to dust, there's no sense in shifting up, and the way the engine's wired is downright scary. But you're certified on every known machine, and maybe you're the mechanic of my dreams. If you can try some new techniques, possible where I squeeze, you can find and fix some 20 leaks. Get my fuel injection clean, but leave my paint job nice and mean. Find a replacement for my lost valve spring, and help me hold my gasoline. Maybe you're the mechanic of my dreams. Now my meter light's gone from red to green. Maybe you're the mechanic of my dreams.
Dead End Streets here on River Talk. This is the River's Edge Radio Network telling you that Christmastravaganza is this Friday the 14th, 9 p.m. at Club Cafe, featuring the Dead End Streets, who you just heard, the Moat Rats, Jenny and the Jag, and it all is all to benefit the Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh Foundation. Just $8. It's 21 plus. Support Children's Hospital and have a good time for Christmastravaganza. Club Cafe, Friday at 9 p.m. We're going to talk with the Dead End Streets. Oh, it's 6 p.m. Oh. I don't know. I think I took it from the Facebook page, but I also was half asleep, so I could have read it wrong.
Oh,
so it's 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
It is 6 p.m. So don't go at 9. Go at 6 p.m.
Well, go at 9. They have 2 shows there.
But go to 6
at
p.m.
6
first.
too.
Yeah,
First,
yeah.
yes.
So don't miss that. We're going to hear more from them today in the studio, so be sure to stick around. Don't miss out on that. We're also going to be, it's like a Christmas show today here on the River's Edge Radio Network at riversedgepgh.com. Zach Fell behind the board, Brian Crawford here. I'm getting into the Christmas spirit. You know me, I'm usually a Scrooge, but I'm trying to turn a corner. I'm trying to open up and embrace Christmas for once, right?
Humbug.
Bah humbug. Well, we're going to be talking, speaking of bah humbug, we're going to be talking about a Pittsburgh Christmas carol, and I'm excited about that. We have a couple people from the Rude Cutlet Theater. They're going to be here in just a few minutes talking about the Pittsburgh Christmas carol. there are some good things about Pittsburgh. As you know, if you've listened to the show over the years, I am a Scrooge. I'm a cynic. I'm the guy who goes out and talks about the shopping and the deaths on Black Friday and the greed and the attitudes and the way that people talk down to people in the service industry during this time of year, the way that people ignore the homeless. They go and donate to the Salvation Army, but they trample over people to the store in the process. I'm the guy that talks about all of the waste and money that we spend on gifts, but I mean, I'm guilty of that too. I just spent like several $100s on a gift for somebody, so I'm a hypocrite, sure, but I'm still going to complain. But things like benefiting the Children's Hospital, that's the better side of Christmas. The events, I love going downtown to Market Square and PPG Place and seeing that festive atmosphere. One thing that I really love about the PPG Place, to talk about that for a second, is one day I was down there, and this really rang true to me about what Christmas should be. I was down there doing a delivery for my last job. As you know, I used to deliver plants to offices all across Pittsburgh. And I went into the PPG Place because I just had a small plant to deliver, so I didn't want to deal with trying to get into the parking garage and dealing with all of that. So I went into the employee entrance, and I don't know if it's one of the businesses inside a PPG Place or if it was the Highwoods management that oversees that entire facility, but somebody paid for an entire choir to sing to the employees as they're coming and going from work. And it wasn't out in the Winter Garden where all of the regular people were going to view the life-size displays of Santa Clauses from all over the world, or out at the skating rink where people travel on their lunch breaks or after work or whenever. No, this was actually in the employee entrance. Nobody else would be going into that entrance unless they were there for business or there for work. More likely for work, because most likely you would go on the other side for if you were any kind of a visitor. And I thought that was really, really interesting, really, really unique. And that entire atmosphere down there is just very classy, and it just is something that's so different in today's world where no business wants to spend money to create a better atmosphere for either the city that they reside in or the employees that work there. So I thought that was really, really interesting, because you look at that entire situation, and yeah, they make money on rent because Crazy Mocha has a little kiosk there in the Winter Garden. They make a little money on the skating rink outside, which is usually very full throughout the Christmas season. But if you add up all of the money from the skating rink and you add up the rent that they get for the little kiosk, it's not even a full room. It's literally just a little, it's like the size of this desk that I stand behind here at the studio, the Crazy Mocha stand. When you factor in all of that, I doubt that even covers the security costs that PPG, or not PPG, Highwoods management, whoever it is, that they spend just to keep that place secure, because it's open. Working overnight, I'd go down there early in the morning. It's open from like 7 a.m. until late into the evening, every day from, it might even be before light up night, but from at least light up night all the way until sometime in January. So it's really an interesting experience. But so there are some good things to Christmas. I admit it. There are some great things for Christmas. We've got a couple of them here that we're going to be talking about in studio. The 6 p.m. show at Club Cafe. So we've got that. We also have the Pittsburgh Christmas Carol. And that one's going on the 14th and the 15th. So it is my recommendation that you go to Club Cafe on the 14th and then go to the Pittsburgh Christmas Carol on the 15th, and you can make an entire weekend celebrating great Christmas shows here in the city of Pittsburgh. Speaking of a Pittsburgh Christmas Carol, we're going to welcome our guests into the studio. They are patiently waiting right outside. Let's welcome our guests here. Where are you guys? You guys want to come in? You're going to go right here in front of this microphone, and we have Dana Leahy and Ian Insect. Ian Insect, who's a a stranger to the show.
Who are you?
Yeah, welcoming him here to the River's Edge for the first time. We have a new Pittsburgh Christmas Carol. I just got the flyer here now. So it's going to be at the Glitterbox Theater, and it's $10 to get in. And I want to talk a little bit about this. This is a different take, and Dana, if I understand correctly, you wrote this rendition of A Christmas Carol, correct?
I did, yes.
I'm reading through. You've got Ebenezer Scrooge. We've got talk about gentrification, which is something that we're experiencing some here in Millvale, where we're located inside of Mr. Small's Theater, and all sorts of other good stuff. Tell me a little bit about this play. What makes this different than the original Christmas Carol?
Well, I wanted to write a version that would be uniquely about what Pittsburgh is facing right now. And what especially fascinated about me about what we have going on is this sort of battle between where maybe Pittsburgh is going and where it's been, and how hesitant people seem to change, and basically the relationship between, what would classically be known as a Yinzer and what is billed as new Pittsburgh, all the people who are moving here and are in tech. And so just sort of the struggle between those two groups.
Well, some change is bad, right? I'm looking at what's going on here in Bloomfield, and it was a story I was going to cover, but we've got so much great Christmas stuff here, so we'll cover it briefly. The grocery store there,
Yeah.
it's moving out. They were planning on putting in luxury apartments, and then the people said, well, we want a grocery store. So they said, well, we'll throw some sort of grocery thing into the mix, but you'll share a parking garage with the people who live here. But don't worry, it'll be fine. There will be plenty of parking to get your groceries. Well, there was a scare because people were wondering, is it going to become a food desert in Bloomfield, much like we live in here in Millvale, which I'm experiencing now that I'm carless. I've been carless for a couple weeks, and it is much more difficult when you don't have a car to get groceries. So Bloomfield had that store. They were losing it. Well, now it turns out the company that was coming in to develop that land has now backed out, and the development corporation is now putting in a list of priorities that they would like to see happen with that location. It looks like it's still being sold. It's still going away, but they have a little bit more of an influence now in what's going to go in there. So I think there is a balance, right? Luxury apartments, not only can they drive people out of the town, raise the price of living, but it can also, let's be honest, some of them aren't very attractive. I look at some of them and they're just like, you go through Lawrenceville and you've got these beautiful old buildings, and then you have this giant square block that is completely, it just looks completely out of place.
It's the new Pittsburgh brutalism, Brian.
Yeah, I don't like it, especially mixed in with some of this old stuff. So there is a balance, right? And does this play speak to that kind of balance that is coming?
Oh, yes. It's firmly a satire that takes aim at both sides.
Okay.
I would say. And it just sort of points out, there's a lot of change happening, and I think a lot of it is how you deal with that change. But there is a real tension that exists, and that's sort of where this play lives. It explores that relationship and, what's happening to the city. And, it's all about planning. You talk about that grocery store in Bloomfield. The same thing happened in East Liberty with the Penn Plaza project, and it's terrible. But it's up to us as citizens of Pittsburgh, regardless whether you've lived here 20 years or whether you've lived here 1 month. You've got to stand up and do something about it. You've got to get involved.
Yeah.
And I think just to add to that, just so it doesn't sound like Dana's patting herself on the back, which I doubt you would do anyway.
No, I didn't mean to do that, never.
I feel like we're about to sing a duet. But I think this is very much it's a great satire, because so often you'll see someone write a satire, bill something they've written as a satire, and it's really just about the writer drawing attention to how clever they are. But it really, this is a satire in the proper, classic sense of, it plays it very straight throughout, and a lot of comedy comes in like the fully formed characters and the dedication they have. And it really reflects what you're talking about, wherein the people advocating change in Pittsburgh now are the people that it financially benefits. They're not sincerely looking to improve the living conditions for the working class in Pittsburgh. And the thing is this play also makes a very cogent point that the working class itself is definitely resistant to change, because when has change occurred in Pittsburgh that it's benefited Pittsburghers? But the things that maybe everyone's holding on to from the past also aren't necessarily the best things for them. There's some gray area there.
Yeah, I agree. I think you need to be smart about it. I look at what if we want to stay within the city limits, I look at what Deutschtown is doing on the north side, and I feel like they're trying to strike that balance where they are really propping up existing businesses while still trying to make it a welcoming place for people to move into. I look at this community here. We have the benefit in Millville of having some really, really terrible side streets, so I don't think that we are in danger of becoming too gentrified, but someone like the North Side could if they're not careful and they're not very smart in their planning. But I do think that the North Side Leadership Council, who is kind of like the development corporation there on the North Side, I think they're doing a great job. But it's very difficult to strike that balance, because it's easy to... I think it's easy, especially when your development corporation is a large development corporation, to see green and see business opportunities coming in and kind of lose sight of the people that live there. I think it's a hard challenge. So.
100%. And I think, unfortunately, one of the other things that I tried to address with this play is sort of the tangential conversations that are happening instead of any real conversations about what are happening. People want to talk about sort of like one of the central themes in this play is the bike lanes, because it seems that whether you love them or hate them, they are representative of the change that is happening in Pittsburgh. And everybody seems to want to either make fun of the bike lanes or say that they're, a mark of like better things to come. And it's just like, how many conversations can we have about the bike lanes? Let's talk about what's actually going on, how we're going to help people, how we're going to prevent the city from just totally going to developers. Exactly what you said about those apartment buildings. So many of them are just terrible looking.
Oh, they're awful.
Oh, I know. And imagine what they're going to look like in 10 years, So, yeah.
And who's buying them? That's the thing that I don't understand. Like, if I had the money to spend on a giant apartment, I wouldn't want it to look like that. I guess I'm, Brian Crawford, am a very humble individual, so I wouldn't want to have this giant in-your-face apartment, as you know, the humblest guy on the radio. So,
sure.
Yeah, so...
See, that's a great example of satire right there.
What's your role in the play, speaking of you speaking, Ian?
Ian is our Ebenezer Scroober.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I weaseled into the play because I played Scrooge in an abbreviated version of A Christmas Carol in a barn a couple years ago. So that really qualifies me as an expert on the structure of the play. But it does allow me, I don't know if this is even a relevant point, but I think this play itself, while you have a lot of new Christmas carols or things like Scrooged, which is now 30 years old, but is a great example of like someone taking the format and sort of satirizing the format and the actual source material, that this is not so much, I would say, a satire of A Christmas Carol as it is sort of an interpolation like of the actual just structure of what A Christmas Carol does. But it's very much focused on contemporary issues in Pittsburgh, and it's not making fun of like, hey, Victorian era.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, hey, Victorian era. But yeah, so I was talking with Dana about the play, and I got really excited and was like, I just, like I say, I weaseled my way into the role through cajoling, lying, and blackmail.
I'm really, really looking forward to this play, because usually when I see something Pittsburgh themed in Pittsburgh, I usually cringe. There's like a part of me that typically wants to just vomit out everything, because it's always na 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 rah Pittsburgh, fries on sandwich, man. It's always stupid, right? Like, this is actually, taking a look at Pittsburgh at a deeper level, a level that is very relevant in today's world. It's more of a. In some ways, I view this as a critique, not so much like, yes or no, good or bad, but just kind of a critique of the environment we're living in, and it's modern Pittsburgh. It's not old man Pittsburgh that doesn't exist anymore. Everybody thinks of Pittsburgh as this Pittsburgh that hasn't existed since, I'll be honest, before I've been born.
Yeah.
The Pittsburgh that everyone thinks of, and anytime you see anything Pittsburgh, it's always, oh, this is what Pittsburgh is, and I've been on the earth for over 30 years, and it's never been that in my entire 30 years.
Stronger than hate, Brian. Stronger than hate.
Well, actually, we disagree on that issue, but we won't bring that up. I actually was very happy to see a lot of the response that came about from the community post that tragedy.
And that's something that I think is interesting to note about this play. It is more of a critique, and I am trying and start a conversation and poke fun, at some of the things that are going on. But ultimately, it's like I always say, you can make fun of your messed up family, but when someone else does, you get really upset about it. So
yeah.
I view this play as like, we're all Pittsburghers. Let's just laugh and have a good time about some of the things that are going on. But the minute someone from Cleveland says something bad about us, well, then we're all in trouble.
So you're saying this is like the Married with Children of plays?
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's a good way to put it.
I'm trying to think. I don't believe the word yins crops up once in the script.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, I think you and I are very much in agreement that a lot of people are exploiting that sort of crossroads of culture that you're touching on. I mean, without being satirical at all, or flippant, I guess is better. But I think both the play and both what you're saying right now are very much about that new and old culture, and people are really trying to take advantage of that and just sort of maybe not mock it, but all the T-shirt shops that are just we'll slap yins on some catchphrase or something, or hashtag yins.
Minions.
Yeah. Any of that, and it doesn't take into account sort of the actual history of Pittsburgh-ese. It treats it as very cutesy and ha 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 ha, ironic, low class kind of thing. But I think without really paying respect or understanding the people who are genuine yinzers, actual people who lived through that, there are class issues, and there is all kinds of stuff that even is touched on in this play as well, very briefly, albeit the vast history.
Yeah. I know with the River's Edge, I spent a lot of time trying to come up with a name for the station that symbolized Pittsburgh, but wasn't that stereotypical Pittsburgh that you always think of. So, yeah. So I'm very much
City Radio.
Looking forward to this. What is something that somebody should really watch out for? Why should people come see this? Besides what we talked about, which is all fascinating, give me something that happens within the play that is just really funny, or something that people are going to walk away from and say, wow, that was great. I remember this. I want to see it again.
Well, I would hope that there are many of those moments, but this play has been heavily influenced by the comments on Bill Peduto's Facebook page. So for a couple of years, I've been monitoring those, and lots of good fodder there. But I think there is a life-size bike lane that makes an appearance during the play to come out and share its feelings about how it feels bad that everyone constantly makes fun of it, and that bike lane is a bike lane, and it has feelings and it wants to express them. So that happens during this play. And also, the Ghost of Christmas Present is a talking top 10 list that Pittsburgh has been named to. So those are the types of things that you can look forward to.
I like all the ghosts. I think all the ghosts are very
memorable.
Yes.
Awesome. Looking forward to that.
Also,
yes, and Ian is excellent. So.
I don't know. I've seen him before. No, I'm joking. He's fantastic.
Bring your tomatoes.
$10. Glitterbox Theater. It is the 14th and the 15th. I'm recommending that our listeners go on the 15th so they can go to the 14th and watch The Dead End Street, so you can make an entire Christmas weekend.
Sure, and for
Sounds
those
perfect.
Yeah.
anyone who might already have Saturday plans, there is a late show on Friday, so you can hit the
fantastic.
6 p.m. show
Yes.
at Club Cafe and have plenty of time to get through that classic Pittsburgh traffic to Glitterbox for the 10 p.m. show.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, definitely good stuff here. Thank you so much to Dana and Ian. And they are with the Rude Cutlet Theater. And again, that is the 14th and the 15th at the Glitterbox Theater. I'm Brian Crawford. This is the River's Edge Radio Network at riversedgepgh.com. We've got another song by the Dead End Streets. And then we've got the top 5 that's coming up right now. This is the River's Edge.
Could I survive the mystery? Yeah, someone hears the breeze and resisted every urge to talk about it. 'Cause I'm taking my last breath before. No one's older than me no more. It's just like me, just like so is it survivable? Take you by the hand, is it survivable?
All right, fantastic job by the Dead End Streets here, broadcasting from Mr. Small's Theater on the River's Edge Radio Network. We're going to do the top 5, or we're going to do it without the music. Maybe we'll add it here in the post-production. So, big news, man turns himself in, or at least pledges to on Facebook. Man who is arrested goes to Facebook, to the police page, and tells the police that he is going to turn himself in. It's pretty fantastic. A man says, he tells the police, they post this picture, big picture, warrant wanted. He says, calm down, I'm going to turn myself in. The police department in Richland, Washington responded, hey, Anthony, we haven't seen you yet. Our business hours are 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Of course, if you need a ride, you can call non-emergency 509-628-0333, and we will pick you up. Some people want to throw all of the drug addicts in jail, which to me is kind of tragic. The governor is taking a different approach. This next Thursday, the state is giving out free naloxone to people to help them fight their addiction, and the response on social media is insane. People are pissed. People do not want to help out. People are going out and complaining that cancer survivors have to pay for treatment, and because of that, we should not give out aid to try to keep people alive from overdosing on drugs. It doesn't make any sense to me. And the argument about it is even more mind-blowing. It's because, oh, well, you make a decision to take a drug. Meanwhile, we know, as we spoke about in a previous episode, that often these drugs are prescribed by the doctors, and the drug companies have been in the business of giving out bribes to doctors to get people hooked. That's been proven. It's come out in the courts up in Boston. So please, and tell me how somebody who overeats themselves into diabetes or smokes their entire life and gets cancer isn't doing the same thing to their own bodies and bringing on their own illness. So I don't know. Should they get the free drugs? If they don't, why should somebody who abuses their body in another way get free health care as well? Taco Bell, speaking of outrage, this is a personal outrage to me. Taco Bell has been named, according to the Harris poll, the best Mexican restaurant in the United States yet again in 2018, which just shows you that our taste is awful.
Hard to agree on that. Oh, no, Taco Bell not being number one.
Hard disagree on that. This shows me that Americans' taste, it's just terrible. There are so many great Mexican restaurants. We have one here in the Strip District, which I just love. It's fantastic. No, they're wrong. Taco Bell, I'm sorry. Nothing against Taco Bell. I guess it's good if you're high or drunk or whatever, but real Mexican food, no. And I'm guessing these are people who don't live in an area with an actual Mexican restaurant. Speaking of food and speaking of Taco Bell, they won't have to worry about this, in my opinion. 12 million pounds of beef have been recalled due to a salmonella outbreak. I say Taco Bell doesn't have to worry because I'm not sure that they use beef. But it's been recalled, and to me, that's kind of a big tragedy as someone who is a huge carnivore himself. Speaking of recalls, Christmas music is also on the outs. People in today's climate of heightened awareness have decided that they are going to oust the famous Christmas song where the woman says, "Is that a drink?" Now, I've actually researched the song. Yeah.
Baby, it's cold outside.
Baby, it's cold outside. I've researched the song, and apparently that phrase was actually a phrase that was commonly used that people would say if they're doing something crazy. So maybe it should be taken off the airwaves through today's lens, but putting the song in perspective, when it was written, I don't think it was written with any ill will in mind. That is the top 5 stories of the week. If you have a top 5 story, at least my personal top 5, if there's a top 5 story out there for you, please let us know in the Facebook chat right here at River Talk PGH on Facebook. Of course, you could tweet me, at River Talk PGH on Twitter, and you can text us 412-4072-PGH. That's 412-407-2744. Did you like the top 5? Well, you'll love Mike Sasson's Hot Takes. Listen in Tuesdays to the Mike Sasson Show. It's a weekly no-holds-barred journey into the minds of accomplished comedian Mike Sasson and his producer and co-host Alex Clements, where no topic is off-limits, often funny, never boring. The Mike Sasson Show, Tuesday at 9 a.m. on the River's Edge Radio Network at riversedgepgh.com. So that is the top 5. Which story out there really spoke to you? I think the one that really spoke to me out of this entire group, well, obviously, helping addicts is something that I think is important. I think we need a different perspective on the world we live in. People still have like this whole. People are stuck back in the Reagan era, basically, the war on drugs, which I understand the mindset back then. But as you learn more and as you're educated, you should grow in your mindset. I know at one point when I was younger, I probably would have been more on that side of the fence where, oh, well, nobody forced the needle into your hand. No one forced the pills into your mouth. But it's really a lot more complicated than that, especially when you've got doctors shelling out the goods because they're getting bribed. And I said it the other day on this program, and I still hold true to it. I don't think we can retroactively go after people as much, but I think going forward at this point, if you accept a bribe, if you offer a bribe, I think the death penalty should be on the table. You put someone else's health at risk, their lifetime health. You put someone in a position to where they are going to be turning to drug dealers to keep up an addiction. Because if you remember, opioid addiction, the withdrawal symptoms can be so terrible that the withdrawal itself can kill you. And I don't know how we could put the blame on an individual who's been pushed onto a drug by their doctor. I mean, that's the person you're supposed to trust, right? That's what they tell you. You look at all of these commercials that now they're preaching the message on TV. What is it, that one commercial? Don't keep a lid on it. Don't keep a lid on it, which that commercial is super, super annoying and stupid. But that's what they're teaching you. Don't keep a lid on it. Talk to your doctor. Talk to your doctor. Explain everything to your doctor. There's the one commercial with this lady. She's in the doctor's office and in herself, like there's a version of herself that's there who's like really adamantly saying like, speak, tell your doctor what's wrong. So yeah, we're trained to trust these people. We're trained to trust these people, and then they get us hooked on a drug that is so severe. It's so severe that Britain used opioids to basically put the reins on China and control China. It's that powerful of a drug. They were able to control a nation by getting them hooked on this stuff. And our doctors are doing it here in the United States, and then we, as the fortunate, because really, if you haven't been peddled these drugs by your doctor for any incident, you're a fortunate person. Or if you haven't gotten hooked, you're a fortunate person. And we, the fortunate, can't just look down on someone because really they were swindled and they were tricked into taking something that was disadvantageous to them in the long term. That's my take on the top 5 at 5. Or not top 5 out of 5. The top 5 at the middle of the show. I don't know what time was it. 7:35. Maybe we should move the segment to 7:35 every week so we can do the top 5 on the 5-minute mark. I don't know. Anyways, we've got the Dead End Streets here in studio. Very excited about this upcoming weekend. Like I said, lots of good stuff here. Let's get them on mic here. How are you guys doing today?
Wow, terrific.
Great. So I am looking forward to the upcoming show, and it's going to be at Club Cafe, and Pittsburgh Children's Hospital Foundation. What made you guys decide to go with that? And I did find out my slip-up, by the way. It's 6 p.m. I looked on Facebook. It ends at 9 p.m., and I saw the 9 number, and it slipped into my consciousness. So it is at 6 p.m.
Well, that's fine information, too, because we don't want anybody showing up late.
Yes.
I don't know. I have kids, and I think that it just seemed like an obvious
choice.
An obvious benefit for us.
And this is Matt, by the way. Let's go through and introduce everyone. We've got Matt here. We've got Neil to your left, and then to your right we have Heather. If you guys want to say hi, I want to mention your name. Neil.
Hi there.
Heather. Hi. And then to your right, Heather, we have Evan. Evan, we can't hear Evan as much. That's okay though. So let's talk about this show. You've got some really, really great talent here at the show. Jenny and the Jags. Jenny has been on this program multiple times. Well, I don't know if she's been on this show in particular as much, but she's been involved in the Millville Music Minute. She is a committee member of the Millville Music Festival, so she's been in and out of this building several times on the program in one capacity or the other. So really, really great there. And then I think I saw the Moat Rats as well. Mm-hmm. So really, really great talent. Did you guys handpick the people who you're playing with? How did the lineup come to formation?
We did. The Moat drummer James Held actually was the first drummer in this band for one gig, and so we've had a relationship with him for a while, and we really love them. Jenny, is sort of as you said, she's Millville royalty. So I've kind of heard about her for a long time and met her a couple times, but. She's one of the people I really kind of like. I love her spirit, and I love that she's so dedicated to what she's doing. So she was they were an obvious addition too. But we wanted to make sure we could have 3 bands who would add to the festive atmosphere and play some Christmas music, and all of us will. And female vocals are very important to us. So 3 bands that have strong female vocalists was an obvious thing for our biggest show of the year.
Yeah, it's very cool too to see that. I'm very excited, and I noticed too that there's a free download card as well. No excuse not to have a Merry Christmas.
Right, and that's a 2-song single. So the first song is No Excuse Not to Have a Merry Christmas, and the second song is Climate Change Christmas.
Yes, I wanted to talk about the 2 different songs. So talk about the Climate Change Christmas. That's very obviously you guys can join in as well. That's obviously a very current topic, especially.
So not only is there a free download as well, but Matt just whispered in my ear that you said that if you buy 10, you get a free chalupa from Taco Bell.
Oh wow! I'm in now, man. Now I'm hooked.
You're on it.
I
right?
was thinking about it, but now I'm.
Which is the finest.
A possibly
Mexican
beef
restaurant.
chalupa.
Yeah, you're not going to find anything better than that
Don't
anywhere
drop the
else.
chalupa. That's right.
Yeah. Oh man.
Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Is it a Christmas chalupa? Is it like Christmas themed?
It's got tinsel in it or something.
Oh, there we go.
So where were we? We were talking about the songs?
Yes, in the climate change Christmas and how relevant it is in today's world, especially with what's going on. I don't know if you saw the most recent thing that came out of the United Nations where they came out with a report on climate change. And it's weird. It's a weird world because there's these huge tensions going on right now between the United States and Russia, but they joined forces with Saudi Arabia to say, hold off on this climate change stuff. We don't really want to officially recognize this report. Let's just note it as having existed, but we're not going to say it's actually correct.
Troubling times.
Yeah, and that just happened was it yesterday, I think, or just within the last couple of days, yeah.
And that's sort of one of the things that made me want to write the song is I can't believe that there are still people who deny climate change, and that's sort of the theme of the song is there's no denying it.
Yeah. Well, one thing I never understood about the climate change deniers is say you don't believe in climate change, right? The solutions to try to solve climate change, if you're against pollution, they make sense. So even if you don't believe in climate change or you don't believe in a lot of the things that are going on, less pollutants in the air is a good thing. Not throwing out single-use plastic is a good thing. There's a lot of benefits to the world overall if you follow a lot of these guidelines. So even if you don't believe in climate change, you could still see the benefits of not polluting as much, right? Like that's what I never understood.
Unless your millions of dollars are at stake, right, on the political front.
Yeah. Well, what's terrifying about climate change is we can do our part and do whatever we can to try to help, but really the amount that's coming out of Asia in particular, because they don't have, and this isn't to point the finger at them and say, oh, they're terrible. They don't have the trash infrastructure that we do in China and in other, or Asia and other parts of the world. So there's I think 2 rivers in China that, if I remember correctly, have more plastic waste than I think the entire United States. It's pretty terrible. Yeah, so it's a very, very difficult thing to deal with. But you guys came up with this song. Tell me a little bit about how you guys came to create this. What went in your mind?
Well, it sort of all came from me in this instance. It doesn't always, but I had written the No Excuse Not to Have a Merry Christmas last year, and we tried to do a video because I wrote it right before Christmas, and we just didn't have time. And then I was in church, probably maybe one of the last times I'll be in church, but I was in church this year, and I guess bored the way church makes you, and I came up with the idea for the the idea for a climate change Christmas song, themed Christmas song, but mostly I came up with an idea for a scene and a video for that song, which I shouldn't have come up with it in any church. But so we also have a video that we made of both that you can see that scene in.
Yeah, I saw the video. So the video, it's available on social media, or where is that available?
It's available on our Facebook page. So you saw the scene where it ends with me with a Speedo.
Mm-hmm.
I came up with that scene in church, the sort of gift giving scene.
Talk about global warming.
Yeah. It's amazing what you can come up with when you're there. I used to sit.
It's a lot of time on your hands, yeah.
Yeah, well, I would go up
church.
yeah, I would go up and I would sit. I'm always one of those people. I do it now. It's not just the church thing. It's any kind of viewing experience. And I had a not so much an argument, but a conversation with a musician. They said that we need to get people like me. I'm the person who goes to a show. If there was a balcony at Club Cafe, I would be in the balcony. I'd probably be in the back row of the balcony. That's where I go. That's where I watch shows. Okay, we've got the same thing over here. Yeah. So
It's must be those metal guys, right?
yeah, I guess so, Evans, you're not there, Neil. You're in the front.
Probably, yeah.
Probably. Yes. I'm in the back, and I'm talking to somebody who said, it's people like you. We need to bring you guys to the front. And I said, I don't enjoy it in the front. I like to stand in the back. I don't like to touch people. I don't like to smell people. I don't like to feel the energy field of the molecules of another person getting too close to mine. I like my bubble. I like my space, and I like sitting up on the top where I can overlook everybody, smell free, touching free, aura free, away from the people. I like to be separated up on the balcony. So I said, I'm enjoying the show more up there. I can actually listen to the music instead of listening to someone breathing over me or dripping sweat on me or bumping into me. To me, that's not a listening experience. So anyways, I would do the same thing at church, sit up on the balcony, and you're right, when you're up there, you're all by yourself. You can pull the phone out if you need to check something, or you can come up with ideas, or write on the little church envelopes when a thought crosses your mind. Right? It's the perfect place.
It was in this instance.
Yes. So the show, I'm excited to hear what everybody else has in store. Are they going to be playing Christmas music as well? Have they written anything original, or is it going to be more covers that they?
They are playing Christmas songs, and they're doing covers. But in addition to the two other bands, a horn section called the Weapons of Brass Destruction will be joining us.
That's an amazing name.
So they are, it is an amazing name. They're an amazing group of musicians. And Jenny and Carly Blotzer from the Moat Rats will also be joining us on the last song. So the last song will have 11 people on stage, 3
It's going to be like a super group.
Super group.
It'll
Yeah.
be a stage that usually holds 5 tops.
Yeah.
You wouldn't like it up there.
It's the All-Star Jam.
No, yeah, I'll be in the back, in the
You'd
back of
rather
the
be in the
room
back,
looking.
right?
Yeah.
But we rehearsed for all of that today, and everybody sounded great. So it's going to be something.
Very cool. So talk about the other song too. We've talked about the climate change Christmas. Let's talk about No Excuse Not to Have a Merry Christmas, because you heard my opening. I'm a Scrooge. I'm bitter. I'm jaded. I'm angry. Is this song speaking to someone like me?
Yeah, I think these are all. I mean, I was thinking that during the previous segment too. This is a whole it's a Christmas segment, but it's a whole cynical Christmas segment because the songs are both pretty sardonic. There's no, there's nothing really sort of festive about them really, and the themes. They're so No Excuse Not to Have a Merry Christmas is really just sort of my cynical take on the theme.
Wasn't
It's
there
kind of
one-
sounds.
So wasn't there one line of that song that had some controversy around it or something like?
Oh yeah, we say Heather. Goddamn is
Yeah.
a very controversial word
Ooh.
these days. Now, back to church. Wait,
In
when
a
I go to
Christmas
church,
song.
I'm forced to sit much closer to the front because I have a family and all. And Heather's family goes to the same church, and her mother's a very faithful person, and she's not crazy about us saying. About
a
Heather,
curse
about
word
her
in a
beautiful,
Christmas song.
about her saintly daughter singing the words "goddamn season."
Now, Heather, has your mother said something to you personally about it?
She has personally let me know how how she feels about this song. And although she supports me through all of my decisions, she has mentioned the possibility of having to boycott this song personally. So and potentially walk out of the venue. I think
Ooh.
I'll have to equip her with the necessary protest gear. She
Now,
had the shirt.
How did that make you feel when you heard that? What was your reaction?
Well, it wouldn't have been the first time she had mentioned it. I think she let it simmer for a while, and this was the final straw, where she let me know that she was potentially going to boycott it.
Now, is she going to stand up in the middle of the song and walk out?
I don't know. Oh, maybe as soon as she hears the opening notes, she might have to storm out, make it loud. I don't know. We'll see.
And then you from the stage can just be, as she walks out the door, you can yell, "Hey, there's no excuse!
No excuse.
No excuse not to have a
No
Merry
excuse.
Christmas."
Exactly. Yes.
It's sad because I want my music to affect people, and even if it makes them angry and want to leave, that's the kind of emotion I want it to have. But not Heather's mother, anybody but her.
Well, can you go up on stage and sing "Gosh Darn"
You know,
instead?
I think
Yeah.
she should
They
be
came
in
up
charge
with
of
a
censoring
bunch of
it.
ideas.
Oh.
She can have like some kind
We're just
of
gonna get her a big horn.
yeah,
so
some horn. Yeah. Yeah. I think
Maybe she can come up with some jingle bells, and as you go to sing, just like shake them in front of the microphone
There we go.
as you're about to say the words.
There we go.
Lyric redacted.
Yes.
Black line across.
But I do appreciate goddamn, and the reason why I say I appreciate that is because I hate whenever people do say like the gosh darn, gosh darn, whatever. I hate that stuff. You listen to the radio and you hear somebody like the host. He wants to say damn, but he'll say darn. But the way he does it, like or she does it when you're listening, it's always like it never sounds natural. It's like darn, like you can tell they're. It's like, just don't say it at all then. I've always been of the mindset, if you're not going to say something naturally, then just don't use a substitute. Just find a different way to say it that is natural. So I'm glad that you guys are sticking to your guns despite the protests from Mom. I think it'll make
the possibility of a boycott.
us of a boycott or maybe even a walkout.
a walkout. Yeah.
how exciting!
That would be
could be
very
really-
exciting. But here's the thing, you've made it right when someone walks out. That's what they always say about radio is, if somebody doesn't hate you, then you're not doing a very good job.
Amen.
Amen to that one for sure.
Yeah. All right. So, what's one pitch? If we can give a big last minute pitch to get people out to the show.
You can't find 2 hours and 45 minutes more chock full of music than this 2 hours and 45 minutes anywhere. 3 great bands, horn section, all-star jam at the end,
For $8,
For
and
$8.
it's still benefiting the Children's
and you get the
Hospital
songs
Foundation.
for free. We're gonna have cookies, T-shirt giveaways,
It sounds
So-
almost like you're almost paying people to come.
possibly it seems like
$8.
it, yeah.
That's what I mean. $8
really
for all of that. Yeah, I
Cheaper
don't.
than a bag of peanuts at Heinz Field. It's like,
That's what I mean. Yeah, $8
it's a bargain.
for the music and possible giveaways and everything else. Plus, you're getting the great music, and it's benefiting the Children's Hospital Foundation. So I
And
feel like
the
And
free download and
the free download. Yeah,
possibility of the chalupa.
that's what I was just thinking. Yeah, that's the big
It's a
winner.
gosh darn Christmas
Gosh darn.
extravaganza.
Yeah, it is. I will say so. So, quick reminder to everybody who is listening, we have the new Pittsburgh Christmas Carol that's going on the 14th and the 15th. You can go to that at the 10 p.m. showing right after the Club Cafe show. Tackle that Pittsburgh traffic, or even if you're really daring, use the bike lane in some capacity in the cold weather to try to get to from the south side to Lawrenceville. And then we also, of course, obviously 6 p.m. at Club Cafe for the Christmastravaganza.
It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful, yeah, which I am really excited to be a part of, and we're looking forward to it. So
Thank you for doing it with us.
yeah, absolutely. So
Thanks for
we've
having
got
us.
one more song from you guys, and before we do that, I would be very ashamed to not remind you to subscribe, rate, and review The River's Edge on Apple Podcasts. You can listen to your favorite shows like The Mike Sasson Show, Geiks Got Game, P.O. Vincent, and of course, everyone's favorite, the original River Talk, right on Apple Podcasts or any of your favorite podcast apps. But don't forget, rate, subscribe, like it, share it with your friends. That's how more people come to love us.
And the same goes for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all those other wonderful social media sites.
All the other things, yes. Like all of them, including the Metal Edge. So, which has a great... go to the Metal Edge Facebook page, by the way, at Metal Edge PGH. So for years, the River's Edge, we've been pushing out some sort of Christmas image, and we've always had... Actually, you guys reminded me to post it when I saw your image come up, but we always had, the River's Edge logo with the Santa hat. Well, they've got the Metal Edge logo with the Santa hat in every other Christmas...
Oh, don't say every. You're going to get us in trouble.
Well, almost every other holiday
A
event
select few very important ones.
underneath it, including Festivus. So,
My favorite.
yes. So check that out. That's at Metal Edge PGH on Facebook right there as well. And you can, of course, listen to the Metal Edge 24 hours a day at metaledgepgh.com.
Or you can yell at your wiretap and say, hey, Amazon device, play the Metal Edge on TuneIn.
Yes. You actually have to phrase it, play the Metal Edge station on TuneIn.
Wait, you have to say station?
You got to say station.
No, I didn't have to last time.
Oh, well,
Sometimes they know what they're doing.
sometimes they know what they're doing. Better than Google, which I can't find a single way to ask Google to do it.
That's why I don't ask. I tell it to play it.
Well, Google, that's a whole situation for another day when I can't even use my paid Google account with my Google Home, but I can go to Alexa and use it. I don't get it. Anyways, don't forget, Friday, Saturday, all weekend, we've got great stuff, all great Christmas stuff going on in Pittsburgh. Check it all out. And don't forget to tune back in next Sunday, right here, 7 p.m. for another episode of River Talk. And we got lots of good stuff then. Thanks so much to Zach Fell behind the board. Thanks so much to the Rude Cutlet Theater for their great conversation. Again, if you enjoyed any of our top 5 subjects, please join our group, River Talk Show Talk, where we can talk about it. You can send me your stories and much more. I'm Brian Crawford. This has been the River's Edge Radio Network at riversedgepgh.com. We've got one more song by the Dead End Streets to wrap us up. Fantastic job by them throughout the show. We've got one more treat for you, and then the show ends. That's it. And I'm going to take a quick nap. Maybe. Probably not. But I've got work tonight, so got to get some food in me before then. So I'm signing off. I'm Brian Crawford. This has been River Talk. This is the River's Edge Radio Network, Pittsburgh's voice for local music.
I convinced myself to love you so many times that I could never say I didn't love you. When you earned my ire, and I could never love you, and I knew it, and I blew it so many times. You headed for the door, and I couldn't stop myself stopping you before you left me. Better off without you, free of all your strife. And I made you stay to tear apart my life. And I know I chose those blinders that I wore, afraid to see what I knew was the score. Oh, I wanted to believe, but now I know I'd rather see. And I'm not wearing blinders anymore. If you ever showed me kindness, you'd exact it fair. And when you held me tight, even in my blindness, made my pockets bare. As if you wanted something, you would take it, and I would fake it that I didn't care. 'Cause all the kind was mine, and I made myself believing you were fine was enough to make it true. Now I'm clearly seeing you. Now all my belief afraid to see what I knew.